country in the world, but it's also one of the most underreported crimes. WAD's Lexi Bratterman shows us the journey one Illinois woman went through with sex trafficking.
He had used a favorite barrel of his hunting shotgun to rape me at 12.
Sex trafficking.
My value was the price of a couple of beers.
Patricia McKnight still struggles decades after her stepfather and his friends sexually assaulted her.
It was my 11th birthday. They had fed me Bakken, double Bakken orange juice all day. And a couple of guys came in to shoot pool, and I was asked, which one do you think is cute? As a young girl, 11-year-old girl, already sexually stimulated by what had been going on for quite some time. Of course, I pointed to one, and when I did, he went over and he offered me out for the price of a couple of beers.
Patricia says her mother knew what was going on, but did nothing to help.
I felt a heavy burden of being to blame for this, that I allowed it. And that's a term that my mother used whenever I had confronted her.
Patricia says she spent her childhood alone and terrified of her stepfather.
He was a coal miner, and his hands were real thick, and they were always covered with coal dust, and he would cover my mouth, and he would just squeeze my jaw, and he literally stole my voice. And I wasn't allowed to cry, and I wasn't allowed to scream, and I couldn't let anybody know, and I had to hide what was really going on.
Sometimes he rented her out to other men.
Somebody had slipped my stepfather a 10, and they could take me out to the camper on the back of his pickup truck if they wanted to, or I was just told whose lap to sit on and who to let play with this and who to get drinks for, and they'd get me high and they'd get me drunk.
It took her years before she finally got the courage to escape her stepfather.
He stopped off to look at a mobile home, telling me that he was going to get it from my mother. Will I go in there and look at them with him? And he chose the one way back off on the end. When we walked in, he asked me what I thought of it. Told him it was nice. He threw me to the ground. He assaulted me. And then he told me that the real reason he wanted the trailer was so that he could put me out on a piece of property and have his own special key so that we could have our own special parties.
Her dark journey continued with a long line of abusive boyfriends.
And I've had more weapons than I can ever possibly count pointed at my head. One tried to drown me and tied me up and held me captive in the bedroom, and that one even offered me out for $50 to a couple of people.
Illinois is one of the worst states when it comes to the number of reported cases.
I think if we're talking about sex trafficking specifically, it's going to look very similar to the signs of domestic violence or sexual abuse, and again, we have to remember that it's going to look different with each case, so it's not like we have these hard facts of this is what human trafficking looks like.
After hearing stories like Patricia's, Congressman Rodney Davis is working to help sex trafficking victims.
We passed numerous bills, and some of them are as simple as, providing techniques to law enforcement officials to recognize human trafficking victims. But we've also made sure that those websites that advertise these victims for sale, they aren't able to do that. It's simple things like that we're trying to kind of clamp down on the access.
Almost 50 years after first being sexually assaulted, Patricia wants to help others find their voice.
And you just have to look at yourself and say, it happened. It's right. You got this, and you're going to make it. One day at a time. Sorry.
Indicator by Satterman, WAND News.
Well, over the past 5 years, Illinois has had more than 800 reported cases of human trafficking. If you suspect anyone is being trafficked, call your local law enforcement.
Decatur police trying to figure out who broke out windows with BB guns and damaged property.